Why, we have Stan Honey watching today. Welcome, Stan. Ed Worley, Tier DeYoung, Joyce Chiarella, probably out in Hawaii. Greetings to all. Ralph Roberts down in New Zealand, presumably. Bob Walker, welcome to you all. Happy Friday, as Julia is saying in their comments. We're live again from the Studio B here at the Beach Street Yacht Club, as usual. Counting down the last minute here before we get this show on the road. Fritz Mueller down in steamy Miami. Tier DeYoung, I think I mentioned, down in SoCal. Julie Aaron's normally in the Cleveland area. Guy Briere, don't call me Guy Briere. Happy Friday from Einstein Chauffeur. That was a funny joke. Guy's going to be here for the Stag Cruise, as is Stan Honey.
Oh,
yes,
good.
Andrew Pindar. It's Shirley. Stan's going to be on the Lighthouse Talks. It was confirmed last night at the Stag Cruise meeting. Gordon Smith, good evening from Copenhagen. In Denmark. No, I'm not able to go see Sail GP, and no, I don't want to discuss it. Let's get this one off the dock.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to show number 546. For today is the 19th, Friday, the 19th of August. We have an august group already gathered here. Alan Long is in Mentor, Ohio, damned Bluetooth. Clark Chapin, whose wife Karen continues to improve after that tragic 4th of July accident they had in Michigan. I'm going to see Clark next week because I'm headed to Michigan. I'm going home to see my parents and the fam there for the first time since before the pandemic. Mentor, Ohio. Alan Long, I said, that is just east of Cleveland. Mentor Harbor Yacht Club, beautiful club there. Rocky River Yacht Club Sailing Club on the west side of Cleveland. John Hanfield for Shelter Island. There's a massive fire engulfing most of the Mattapoisett shipyard on Buzzards Bay as we speak.
Uh-oh.
We'll see if we can get a look at that if somebody wants to send us a picture. Carlos Aviz checking in from Brasilia down in South America with a nice afternoon down there. And they're, it's the middle of their winter, but it's fairly warm in Brazil. I don't think it snows much, except maybe up in Montañas.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
My co-hostess is here, Julia Vedekind, proud member of the St. Francis Yacht Club, Commodore here of the Beach Street Yacht Club.
Yes, that important.
And I represent the Balboa Yacht Club only because that's where I do most of my sailing these days. And delighted to have you all with us here, as I said, for show number 546. Let's get into it here at the pre-start, courtesy of the Castle Cove Sailing Club, John Emmett's photo that we like to start the show with. And I'm going to talk about for a moment, because this got so many comments after our Tuesday show when we discussed rum and what was then the International Rum Day, the 16th of August. And I got many, many comments about that show, how much most of you enjoyed it. Some of you didn't. Some of you thought we carried on too much about Rum Illustrated. This came from guess who after that show?
Yeah.
Alistair Murray, of course, and he's saying down in Melbourne in Australia, time flies when you're having rum.
Yes.
Huh? Isn't that nice?
Yes, it's a good one.
Alistair Murray, our FOSI, thank you, sir. And he's got a terrific Australian, awesome Aussie anecdote coming up for next week. We're going to run for you on the show, I hope, next Tuesday. I'm going to be in Michigan, as I said, next week, visiting my folks. First time I've been back there since, almost 3 years. And I'll do a show on Tuesday, probably, by holding up the iPhone and maybe on a tripod, but it'll be casual, it'll be low key. And we hope you'll join us for that. It's a regular show on Tuesday at 1300 Pacific, 1600 Eastern, and 2000 UTC. Thank you, Alistair. And if you're drinking rum before 10 a.m., it makes you not a pirate, not an alcoholic. Today, Julia, is what?
Looks like Peace Day.
Well, I had in the comments, you probably saw, or in the pre-show notes, I said it was World Photography Day, and it is, but it's also World Humanitarian Day. I think it's worth a mention because with the disasters that happen around the world and the thousands, indeed tens of thousands of people that respond to it, whether they're professionals or volunteers. We like to recognize them. And on 19th of August, 2003, that bomb attack on the Canal Hotel in Baghdad killed 22 humanitarian aid workers, including the UN Special Representative of the Secretary General for Iraq, Sergio Vieira de Mello. 5 years later, the General Assembly adopted the resolution designating the 19th of August as World Humanitarian Day. Each year, WHD focuses on a theme, bringing together partners from across the humanitarian system to advocate for the survival, well-being, and dignity of the people affected by such crises, and also for the safety and security of aid workers, which, Julie, I think is well worth noting and celebrating
Absolutely.
on a day like today. Alan Long is saying it's also National Aviation Day. Yeah, it may be beyond national, maybe international. Joy Shearell out in Hawaii is saying today is Hawaii Statehood Day. Hamish Ross, hello, Hamish. I spoke with Hamish earlier this morning.
Oh, lovely.
On the occasion of the resignations from the squadron, which we're going to tell you about as some notables. It's Clinton's birthday. It's President Bill Clinton, I guess, former president. Bird Nest Day, Jonathan Frank. We're going to feature Jonathan Frank. Bill Wingrove, hope you were going to comment on Anarchy's AC commentary. I ran that on Tuesday's show, at least the one with the paragraphs, but I'm not going to go into the whole article again because I think there's bigger and more pressing news apropos the America's Cup that we shall get to. World Humanitarian Day, August 19th, and it is also, here's your other clue of what day this is. You know what that is?
A camera.
Yes.
Photography.
Yes, it is World Photography Day.
Oh, great.
And a lot of you sent notes to me about this. Julia, indeed, if you go, and not you now, but if any of our FOSI, any of the viewers want to go have a look at some very cool photos that are on the SailGP site. They posted some of their best photos from the last year in honor of World Photography Day on the SailGP website, so we commend that to you.
Oh,
go
good.
have a look. Every year on the 19th of August, World Photography Day, also known as World Photo Day, celebrates the art, craft, science, and history of photography. The day also encourages photographers around the globe to share a single photo that encapsulates their world. The kind of photography we know today dates back to prior to the America's Cup, about 12, 13 years before 1851, 1839. At that time, the French Academy of Sciences announced the daguerreotype process. Is that how you pronounce that in French, Julia?
Daguerreotype.
Daguerreotype. The process made it possible to create a highly detailed image on a sheet of copper. The sheet was coated with a thin coat of silver, and the process did not require the use of a negative. It became the first method for obtaining a permanent image with a camera. And of course, that was pretty messy and pretty difficult and pretty expensive. And 40 years later, in 1884, so after the America's Cup, and after the America's Cup had been defended 2 or 3 times, in fact, George Eastman from Rochester, New York, that became the Kodak company, Eastman Kodak, refined the French process. He replaced the copper plate with a dry gel on paper, which he called film. This invention alleviated the need for photographers to carry around heavy copper plates and toxic chemicals. In 1888, Eastman developed the Kodak camera. The invention allowed virtually anyone to take a photo. So how nice is that?
It's terrific.
It is. And of course, how long after that was it that a digital camera came to fore?
89.
It was 100 years later. That was in 1884.
Yeah.
So it was in 19 something. I don't know, 1980s, I guess, right? I remember having a digital camera when we were living in Germany. So it was in the 90s that I had a digital camera.
Yeah.
So I don't know when was the first digital camera. Our FOSI will know that. Don Lunabos checking in from Sonoma. Facebook user, that's James Frederick Bland. Yeah, Jay Frederick. It's raining in Austin, Texas, just starting to glass and finish the decks. We're gonna have, as I said on the Tuesday show, he's coming on to talk about building boats, wooden boats, and his Pelican that's taking shape nicely. If you're following James Bland on his Facebook page, he's a Facebook user here in our comments. Gordon Smith, a dear friend of mine, is currently in the Ukraine distributing humanitarian aid to where it is needed, and God knows it is needed in that country badly.
Yes.
It's a sad continuing situation. John Emmett was right when that war broke out. The idea that it was going to last for tell me what, we were all saying, well, hopefully it won't last for more than a few weeks, maybe a month, and
Right.
it looks like it's here now for
It's there to prove a point.
the long haul.
Okay.
Some more notes here on this World
that's a
Photography
good one.
Day. This is a cool.
Yeah, it is.
Obviously, it's a photo, but it's a little bit of a photoshopping there too. This came from, this is a friend of Mark Husted. And Mark sent this to me. This is off this guy. I don't know him, Joel Robinson, but apparently a good friend of Mark Husted. Today is World Photography Day, Mr. Robinson said, and he's photography and using my camera gave me an outlet through difficult times. It helped me to see myself for the first time in a long time. It led to meeting like-minded friends and has taken me around the world. I truly wouldn't be the same person had I not picked up a camera all those years ago. Photography is simply more than a hobby or a definition. It's part of my life, just like my mind and my heart.
How
I
nice.
thought those were cool words,
Yes.
aren't they?
Yes, absolutely.
Happy World Photography Day. I hope you're able to go out and take a photo that connects you to yourself today. I thought that was a nice sentiment.
It is.
Mark Husted, thank you for sending that along.
Yes.
That was nice
It's a great picture.
stuff.
Yeah.
A cool photo. Thanks, Mark. Okay, let's get into the starting line, get into the body of our show, the main part. We're here at the starting line with that obnoxious horn. I said I was going to get rid of that, but you know.
There you are.
I think I'll keep it. As usual, we like to start with the Coach's Corner with our good friend John Emmett, who checks in from Weymouth in the UK again.
Hi, Tom, Julia, and all the FOSI. I'm so sorry. It's with quite a lot of sadness. I don't have the report from the RS 2000 Nationals, so we can put this down to many things, but probably the most or the worst one is I maybe just talk too much. So I'm going to try and recreate the scene. You'll realise it's fairly early on in the morning at the moment, and I'm at the Weymouth and Portland National Sailing Academy rather than Castle Cove. Whereas yesterday, at bang on midday, I was at Castle Cove in the glorious sunshine and maybe 15 knots of southwesterly wind. In fact, you're just going to have to believe me. And the short version of the story, my Pocket 2 overheated and switched itself off, and I was in a big rush to go sailing in the lovely southwesterly, and I thought it recorded and it hadn't, so that's rather disappointing. But in fact I couldn't have recorded it because, as with many things in life, that was just the opportunity had gone. So I want you to use your imagination now. In fact, I guess in 3 years' time I'll just do an audio and we could just all do imagination. No, the idea was to show the RS 2000 fleet. So I went down and watched them all launch. So I had lots of footage of the fleet. I guess it's about 50 boats all launching, so people could see what they look like. Yeah, to get a few sailors on camera, so we saw sort of the chairman, and I even managed to, for once, get Lily on camera. Had to laugh as she needed to use nearly her entire body weight just to put the put the rudder down on shore, and I got a wave and a smile, which is probably just proves she's happiest when sailing. But the idea was just to show the fleet as everybody launched into the glorious Portland Harbour. And the key thing about the 2000, and the point I talked about a lot, is that it's a very, very family friendly class. So for my I'd say my home club in a way, Weirwood, where I'm lucky enough to be a honorary life member. We had maybe 12 boats travelling down, and it's all parents sailing with their kids. In fact, one of my friends, he's got 3 kids, so you know, he sails with one, and then a family friend sails with another, and they have a family prize. And if the RS200 is sort of a couple's boat, and a really nice boat by RS, light, fast, although for a hiking boat you do seem to spend all your time going upwind because it's just so fast going downwind compared to upwind. So the 2000s is a much heavier boat, relatively small sails, so it can be easily managed, and it's a perfect teaching boat. Was originally the Laser 2000, later became the RS 2000 when they took over the class, and I think it's really gone from strength to strength, and it's just this idea of family sailing I thought was a really good point. So of course what I should do is just go and redo the video. Unfortunately, as is often the case, I'm out of time. So this is the academy. It's first thing in the morning. We're going to go and do about 3.5 hours on the water before the RS 2000s turn up, because they'll be having their race course for their final day in the harbour. So I will obviously miss them launching because we're going to be on the water. And then I'm doing the airport run to Heathrow, which is just unbelievably good fun on a Friday afternoon. So if I don't make the show, it might not be that I'm at the pub, it might be I'm just still stuck on the M25, that largest car park in Europe. But yeah, the 2000s, they just do 2 races a day. They even have a day off, and the social nearly every day. So yeah, no video for that, which is a shame, because one of the really impressive things is just how the club, Castle Cove, just pulled out all the stops. It feels like nearly every active member is involved in putting together the championships. But yeah, as I said, the phone overheated, and I think that was because I talked too long. It just got so hot, you know, too much hot air from John Emmett or whatever. So I think I better wrap this up. I was going to talk a little bit about this session because I need to go and do it, but we're actually going to be using analytics, which is a really good coaching tool, which means we can actually link footage to a timestamp and to GPS, and to really dig deep into where you lose and where you gain on a race course. And these sort of coaching tools, just, they weren't available 20 years ago, and they make my life a lot easier, and it makes the debrief for the sailor much easier, because you can just star points you want to look at and look at that specific video, and link the video. So the video I take on my phone, I can look at the corresponding video from a GoPro. And one of the big things is with contact time, if you can't be at regatta, a sailor, or at training, depending on the rules, can have a GoPro or whatever fitted to the front of the boat, and then hopefully I'll be able to watch some of what's going on and get that feedback. And the really nice thing, all that video gets saved, and given enough time, you've just got a great big library of video, both, you know, good and bad technique, as it were. But need to crack on, go sailing. Will do my best to make the show, and I think unfortunately a lot of lessons are learnt in the hard way. So for me, one of the key lessons, I'm always going to check that the video is recorded now, however much I'm in a rush to get on the water. And that's it. Hopefully see you later.
You know, I told him, if you had not apologized, we would have never known. This is a perfectly good and fun video on its own. And he wanted to get the RS 2000s because Lily is back sailing for the first time.
Yes.
So wait, there is more. This is John a few minutes ago at the prize giving, maybe an hour or so ago. Mm-hmm. What is it? It's 21:20 now, and it's 2020 UTC. So yeah, 21:20 in British summertime. Mm-hmm. And he texted and said, "Gutted that I lost that previous video." Okay, I get it. And he apparently I'm sure it was great, because he recorded with the whole RS 2000 fleet launching, like 50 boats. I think I was one of the best ones I have done. It was one of the best videos I've done. But I would say that. But I made it back in time for the prize-giving dinner. It is the first regatta Lily, his wife, Golden Lily, had completed. She did all 10 races since Rio 2016 Olympic Games. So it's her first regatta. Now, I asked him, how did she do?
Yeah.
And in fact, I could go to it, but she won.
Yay.
First regatta back, she won. She had a score line of mostly firsts and seconds. So, John, bravo Zulu to you. Bravo Zulu to Lily. Thanks for that report. Courtesy of John Emmett Sailing. Get to the front of the fleet. Terrific stuff indeed. Now, that's a bit of a FOSI focus on John Emmett as we start each of the shows, but I've invited any of you who would like to send in a video, give us an update, and guess what? We got one today from Jonathan Frank down in Texas. And here is that lead in. Yeah, Gordon Smith saying, yay, Lily. Jonathan's on here now. He's saying, in fact, he's an airline pilot, as I'll tell you in a moment, you probably remember, having spent many hours on the M25 trying to get to Heathrow, I sympathize with your plight, Jonathan is saying, because he would have, overnighted in London and then had to go out to the airport. I always take the Piccadilly line, right? Or I take the tube from the Royal Thames Yacht Club out. It's very simple, very easy. So our FOSI focus, I'm calling this, today on Jonathan Frank, and he is a Renaissance man, as I said in the show notes at the top of the show. He is a photographer. This is from, guess where? From the flight deck, the cockpit of a 777, I think. He's now flying 777s for United. Sunrise over the North Atlantic at 38,000 feet. And of course, because he is a pilot for United, he's a senior pilot. He's been around for a long time with United. Now, flying left seat in the 777s, which he loves. He just thinks it's a terrific plane. He's also a painter.
He is.
And that's that's his latest watercolor painting. He likes to paint in that medium in watercolor. I picked that off his Facebook page today, and he calls it Whatever May Come. He painted for us, or at least he painted it and then sent it to us, what he calls the turning point of AC 34. And that painting is here in the studio, right just behind camera 2 over there on that wall. There you can see it. And thank you, Jonathan and Barbara. They sent it as a bit of a present to us, which we very much appreciate. The turning point in AC 34 here in San Francisco. He's also a bass player.
Can't be all bad.
Bass player. If he were only a hockey player, hockey players say like bass player, musician. But he is playing here with his church band, playing the bass, and is I've heard him play bass. I've heard him, on recordings, and he's a terrific bass player as well. But guess what? He's also a crooner. Listen to this. Who would have known?
True, I know.
Let me see what spring is like.
That's lovely.
In other words, hold my hand. In other words, baby,
Kiss me.
Exactly. So he sings beautifully.
Yes.
Plays the bass. He's obviously a Renaissance man, and he sounds like a radio disc jockey in this video, which he sent this morning. Have a listen.
Hello, Tom, Julia, and the FOSI. It's Jonathan Frank, a.k.a. Jetlag Johnny, sailing with Beach and Barbie on our beautiful little boat, Sur Reserve, on Offutt's Bayou in Galveston, Texas. A little bit of a report here for the Gulf Coast area. Not much going on. It's the dog days of summer, and most of the racing has been suspended for August and September. October, though, it's going to get hot and heavy again with the Harvest Moon Regatta, which starts in Galveston and races down to Rockport. So many of the big professional boats are getting ready for that regatta. Other than that, it's kind of interesting how the apps steer us wrong sometimes. Today was supposed to be a miserable day with thunderstorms and gusty winds and low clouds, and it turned out to be an absolutely beautiful day. So sometimes local knowledge is better than what the apps will tell you. So take every opportunity you can to go out and go sailing. You won't regret it. So have a wonderful day. Back to the show. Back to you, Tom and Julia. Take care.
nice.
Jet lag Johnny. Who would have known?
He has a great voice.
He does. He sounds. I said he sounds like a radio DJ, right?
Yeah.
Jonathan, thank you for sending that in, and I hope that encourages others to do the same. Because this is a community of people, most of whom have never met each other, but I see how many people are following, for example, Jetlag Johnny's Facebook page when I went on it this morning to gather up those pictures. Gordon Smith saying over in Denmark, Jonathan Frank has the power to make me feel terrible. I can barely tie my own shoes. And Jonathan didn't know I was going to put together those pictures.
Yeah.
He did say, what an all-around talent, Joyce Chiarella is saying, reading up the... How much time I wanted to ask the same thing, Baton Ken and Baton Rouge. How much time to do your typical watercolor? Because, Julia, he is prolific.
Yes.
He turns out 1 or 2, 3 a week, it seems like.
Well, watercolors do work quickly.
So I wonder, we'll look in the comments. Jonathan Frank, thank you. Yep, love the painting, Tier de Jong. Yeah, great photo. Very happy. Yeah, okay, some nice Christopher Gillingham talking back on that. The nice photo of John Emmett and Gordon Smith, as I think I mentioned, cheering on Lily. Do digital data capture boxes exist for sailing, I wonder? I mean, those that collect data streams. There's a question from Gordon Smith. Maybe Jonathan Frank or John Emmett can answer that. But nice comments. Great stuff. Hamish Ross saying, great stuff, Jonathan Frank. And he's saying, there it is, Julia.
Hamish said Fuji 1988 was the first digital camera, and I said 89.
You were right on, or nearly on. And Jonathan is saying, you see that comment about watercolors? An hour and a half it takes him.
I didn't see that. Yeah.
Stingray.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your pilot. Please fasten tight for this landing. I'm going to try to doing this one downwind. Yeah, while I'm singing a song, playing the bass, and painting a new picture for the FOSI.
With all 4 digits.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Thank you, Jonathan Frank. And again, anyone that wants to send in a video and update us on your life, particularly your sailing lives, we'd really appreciate that. And I know the FOSI would as well, right, Julia?
Right.
Okay. What a great group we have. We are so lucky to have all of you, and this is what makes doing the show for us fun.
The Teleporta Corporation that's beginning should hurry up so we can all get together on a moment's notice.
Oh, I saw something about teleporting.
Yeah.
Well, this is the closest thing we've got to it now, is doing this kind of a show, which brings a lot of us together every Tuesday and Friday, and we talk about cool things going on in the sport, such as Sail GP, where today is day one. They had practice sailing yesterday, day one of the actual racing, the 19th and the 20th. Sometimes they're Saturday, Sunday, sometimes they're Friday, Saturday. This one, obviously, is Friday, Saturday. The Rockwool Denmark Sail GP, and I can confirm, Hamish Ross, can Jonathan sing a safety briefing? Well, the flight attendants do that, not the caps, but he could probably sing a lot of things.
And people to listen.
I think they would. But back to Sail GP. Nathan Outeridge, we were telling you on Tuesday, we'd heard was going to helm for SUI, and indeed that has come to pass. He was on the wheel today for the racing, the non-racing in Denmark, in Copenhagen. But this is what it looked like there today. It was rainy, foggy, and there was no wind.
Oh, poor things.
No wind at all. So they ended up calling the racing off. And the headline is, "Racing tomorrow will be more important than ever." Sehested, he's the skipper, of course. Nikolai Sehested reacts after the first day of racing canceled in Denmark. And here he was being interviewed on the TV show. And you can see, I'll go back, you can see what the conditions look like.
Oh, yeah.
It was just pouring down. It was pissing down rain, and there was no wind. And the good time was not being had by all, but they all seemed to be in pretty good spirits on the video. I watched the replay of the television. I watched it live, the end of it. Second day of racing in Copenhagen will be more important than ever, according to Danish driver Nikolai Sehested, after the first day of racing was called off amid poor wind conditions. All 8 F-50s were launched and teams waited in still conditions. but to no avail. No to avail. I think
Not-
I corrected their press release.
To no avail.
But to no avail. The loss of the first day of racing puts even more pressure on the second, Hested said, predicting teams to take more risk. Before, it's all about being in the average game, making sure if you stay in the game and not dropping down the leaderboard, Hested said. But tomorrow we've got to swing hard from the beginning. Denmark strategist Katja Salskov Iversen agreed that tomorrow is all or nothing, but remained upbeat about the challenge, which is, it's nice that they give the local team, the Inc.,
Yes.
right, give them credit. And what they're doing tomorrow is they're scheduling. It looks like there's going to be more breeze. Gordon Smith can tell us the weather conditions probably better. Update us, but since he's there in Copenhagen, lives there, just outside of Copenhagen. But the weather conditions are supposed to be better tomorrow. They will sail 3 fleet races. All will count. There will be no medal race, no podium race. And that, the final 3 boat type thing, just 3 fleet races, everybody all in. And today, what they did was play yesterday's practice races, some of the excerpts from the practice races. And that was, that was okay. Here's an incident at the finish, and I don't have the video, but you see in this, they're jibing through the gate, and the finish line is over here. So they got one last little shot to the finish. The Danes are right behind the Canadians. The Canadians are here, Phil Robertson. And steering, the guy that's been with 3 different teams now. Mm. They call him the Crazy Canucks. Nothing. I don't know any. My wife's a Canadian. I don't have a lot of Canadian friends, and other than some hockey players, Julia, I don't know any Canucks that are crazy. There are some crazy hockey players, but certainly this team is not. Yeah. So just as they're jibing and going, this is Tommy Slingsby and the Aussies, they're just jibing to go through the gate. It looks too weird. It looks like they purposely kept the wing on the wrong tack, and they did a big heel over and crashing back down, slowing just enough to allow the Canadians to come around, and the 2 of them raced into the finish line side by side, and there was a 1-second delta in this practice race at the finish. Now, come on. It was 2-staged looking. I don't know if it was. It was 2-staged looking, and the USA won the first race, the practice race. New Zealand won the second, and Canada had a 1-second victory in this race over Australia. This is what the crowd looked at today, though. They couldn't see the TV. When the message finally came across, they kept them all there. Race management message, race was abandoned. And this, of course, at the end of the TV. But they've got nice viewing stands. Too bad they were only looking at a cruise ship, either coming in or going out. And it was indeed a rainy, hazy, foggy, windless day. Now here is the aforementioned Nathan Outeridge, the Aussie who now lives in New Zealand, married to Emma Blackman, the famous Emma Blackman. And he gave an interview about how important it is for him to help the team, how good the team is. Of course, the team's at the bottom of the mix. But tomorrow, the Rockwool Denmark Sail GP, Copenhagen, race 2, Saturday the 20th, they'll have the first race at 15:44 local. That is CET. 16:09, race 2, and 16:34 is the scheduled start of race 3. Tomorrow, Saturday, in Copenhagen. Tickets are sold out. All ticket types, Gordon Smith is saying. Well, that's great news. Sailmon Max is a great data recorder, can be used by an individual boat or fleet comparison, includes GPS, heel, pitch, etc. Thanks, Phil Walker. There are a lot of people on here, by the way, who don't comment. And I see them on, if I'm watching on my phone, but it's hard enough to talk and switch and switch the slides.
Yeah.
But a lot of you, if you do come on, like I don't know James Dickens. He's on. New name to me. Welcome, James. Doug Augustine, an old friend, is on. Roy Goodison, Julie Aarons, we know she's on. She's drinking rum, she said.
As she should, yes.
In Cleveland.
Yeah.
But a lot of new name. Bill Canfield, President Canfield is on. Welcome, Bill. We've known for a long time. But Terry Shea is a new name. A lot of names, that Harry Smith, and so on. James Smale, we've seen James on before lately. So Don Morris is another new name. So if those of you who are coming on, just put a quick comment in and say hi I'm here and this is where we are and we're in the world. I think it makes us all
Oh, yes.
happy to know who
Absolutely.
else is here. So, and they're helping. Gordon Smith has been helped by Phil Walker, and this is what goes on during the show, in addition to Julia and myself gas bagging on to the slides that we
Yes.
put together. Now, a lot of you have asked about what happened to Sir Ben Ainsley. Two of the teams, the Spanish team had a problem, so they didn't race today. And I don't know if the Spanish will be back out on the water tomorrow, but Sir Ben Ainsley will not be because of this. This is after practice yesterday. In fact, it was before practice.
Did hit a rock.
They hit a rock, supposedly an unmarked rock.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, fuck's sakes. I'll play it again. I mean, I think that shadow's under the boat. I don't think they're sailing over rocks, but see, even at a slow speed, as you all know, anybody that's ever gone aground. Stingray's making jokes here. Anna Berkvist, welcome to you. Hello, Will Simpson. Thank you. So people are checking in. So that is what happened. They hit a rock, supposedly on, according to the press releases, an unmarked rock in the harbor. A little hard to believe, but nonetheless. And here's Ben's explanation by video in a video release today.
Yeah, it's been one of those incredibly tough days for the team. We were warming up for the practice racing and ran into a rock, effectively, which carbon fibre and hard rock at about 15 kilometres of boat speed don't go too well. So we suffered a lot of damage to both the rudder and the foil on the starboard side, and I guess most critically to the foil box. Most of the damage we could repair for racing tomorrow, but the foil box I don't think we can repair, certainly not for tomorrow, and it looks like a real long shot for Saturday. So it's effectively put us out of this event, which is a tough call for the team. So we've just got to try and knuckle down, come back for Saint-Tropez in a couple of weeks' time, try and get some momentum back into this season. You know, days like today are tough, but that's sport and that's life. Unfortunately, you're going to have setbacks like this, and it's the teams that can respond, that can keep their heads up and come back stronger. Those are the teams that end up being successful, and that's what we've got to do.
Yeah, Jonathan Frank saying lucky the crew member wasn't seriously injured. And Gordon Smith, who lives there, as I said, in Copenhagen, is a Brit, but had been living there for a long time. It really is a surprise to find a rock in that particular part of the harbor, although by Tuborg Harbor there is an area that is not navigable except for dinghies. Yeah, Alan Long, stuff happens. Anna Berkvist. Hi, Anna. Poor Ben. Couldn't they have put a buoy on that stone or that rock? I don't know. I don't understand what that's all about.
Yeah.
And Julie Aaron saying that hurt me, and I wasn't even there.
I know.
So that's a strange. Pity Sail GP doesn't have a spare yacht for such circumstances. Well, Hamish, I think they've got teams standing in line by now, so that's why they don't have any spare yachts. There was another comment not related to this. Neil Collingridge checking in. He's dialing in. He says from Villamora, where the 447 ILCA 4s at the ILCA 4 Youth Worlds. What a celebration of junior and youth sailing. Yeah, we'll cover that on Tuesday.
Yeah, Villamora is a great place.
Indeed. And thanks to Sail GP for that video by the Ben Ainsley report. And I that's all I know. I haven't seen anything else. I haven't heard any other details. Perhaps some of you will know more than what we've seen on those videos. So Sail GP tomorrow, 3 races tomorrow for all of the Marbles fleet races. America's Cup, a development overnight that is not exactly a surprise, but the vehemence, the response, the reaction to the announcement coming from Sir Michael Fay that he is resigning, has resigned from the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron, was carried in the New Zealand Herald, made all the papers, led Radio New Zealand this morning, and I have that story, that audio at least, for you in a moment. But here's what was in the New Zealand Herald. Quote, the big headline, "This is wrong. Kiwi America's Cup icon Sir Michael Fay resigns from the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron in protest at Barcelona venue move." Kiwi America's Cup icon Sir Michael Fay has resigned his 46-year membership of the RNZ in protest at the club's decision to sanction the sale of venue and hosting rights for the next Cup defense by Team New Zealand. Fay, along with fellow Cup luminaries Alan Sefton and Andrew Johns, wrote an open letter to Commodore Aaron Young on Thursday detailing the club's, quote, regretful approach to its obligations as trustee of the America's Cup. The trio argued that under the terms of the historic deed of gift, the squadron has, quote, no license, unquote, to relocate the venue offshore, along with the fact that the decision means that New Zealand will miss out on the numerous benefits of a Cup defense. They highlight the relevant deed of gift passage, quote, it is distinctly understood that the Cup is to be the property of the club subject to the provisions of this deed and not the property of the owner or owners of any vessel winning a match.
Yes, that's always been true.
And Andrew Johns, who is the lawyer, and at the time we were arch rivals, as was Michael Fay. We were competitors in the '88 America's Cup, but we've become quite good friends ever since. And Andrew Johns, who's a very successful, he's a vegetable, he has a big vegetable farm, I believe, down in the South Island.
He's not a vegetable.
He's not a vegetable, no, he's a vegetable farmer, last
Right.
I knew.
Yeah.
And maybe a wine guy as well. But Andrew Johns, a very smart lawyer, and he's the one who realized that when San Diego Yacht Club were dragging their feet to defend in '88, that they could file a challenge, a one-on-one challenge, which has since been called a rogue challenge or a deed of gift challenge. But all challenges are deed of gift. But if there's no mutual consent ahead of time as to how you're going to challenge a record and how you're going to do it, anybody can go challenge. And that's what they did. And it was a correct challenge. And they called the San Diego Yacht Club. I was negotiating with Malin and Co. to go work there,
Right.
for them to help run, and ended up running the organizing committee for '92, the '88 and '92 Cups. But I digress. And I said to San Diego Yacht Club, hey, they're fully within their rights to do this. And I got Harmon Hawkins, the late great president, was then president of USYRU, and he said, yeah, he's a lawyer, and he was a deed and trust lawyer. In fact, he said, yeah. So I ran out to San Diego and went to work for them. But in the meantime, they challenged, and Michael Fay, it was a valid challenge. Now, they didn't realize they could challenge in a catamaran or a trimaran. They thought it had to be a monohull, and they thought that if they challenged in a monohull, we had to defend in a monohull.
Yeah.
Or at least that was our argument after they realized that we were going to defend in a catamaran. And of course, the courts backed us up ultimately. But these guys are right, and they're, as you know how I feel about it. But let's go to the video of our Radio New Zealand's This Morning Checkpoint show, on which Sir Michael Fay was the leading guest.
Veteran America's Cup campaigner Sir Michael Fay has resigned from the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron in protest at the Cup defence going offshore, and he's not the only one. In March, Team New Zealand and the squadron, or host club, announced the decision to head to Barcelona in 2024, with team boss Grant Dalton saying there wasn't enough money to mount a successful defence on home seas, and the team comes first. That's despite the government offering $100 million if it stayed here. At the time, Sir Michael Fay, who supported 3 bids for the America's Cup, believed it was a betrayal and a breach of ancient Cup rules. Now, in an open letter to the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron Commodore, he's tendered his resignation over the, quote, slap in the face. Leaving the club with him is Alan Sefton, who was part of Sir Peter Blake's successful Cup challenge and defence, and Andrew Johns, a legal advisor on multiple Cup challenges. After months of mulling it over, Sir Michael reckons the only option was to walk.
We decided, when we looked at it carefully, that the club had done entirely the wrong thing. There was no need to do it, and we thought the only thing we could do to express our dissatisfaction and the bad decisions that were taken was to resign from the club.
You don't want to be a part of that anymore?
Well, Well, we've been collectively in it for 150 years, so we did enjoy it. But when you study it carefully, the club's obligations were very, very obvious. You know, someone wins the cup belongs to the club, not the owner of the winning yacht. That goes back to as early as almost the Treaty of Waitangi. It's back into the 1860s, and it's been consistent all the way along, talked about a lot in arbitration panels, and it's always the same. It does not belong to the vessel, the owner of the vessel that wins. It belongs to the club, who can only select the courses. It cannot change the venue and go elsewhere.
This decision was made some months ago, so have you been stewing on this?
Yes, we haven't been stewing. The odd occasional Friday night we've had a beer and a chat and ruminated on it and thought, you know, what do you do if we strongly disagree? You come down with only really, in this case, one option. You have to vote with your feet, and you have to turn around and say to the club, look, we're resigning. Reluctantly, but resigning.
What message are you sending the club, Sir Michael?
I think we're sending the club a clear message from people who understand how complicated it is, how difficult it is, that the cup should have stayed here. It had to stay here. They had no right to go anywhere else. Now, I'm sure there was pressure from Team New Zealand, and I've heard all sorts of stories. I don't know if they're true or not. I heard that Dalton at one stage said that if he couldn't go offshore to raise more money, then he would liquidate Team New Zealand. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but I've been told it by a number of people. If you'd said that to the club had a simple response. Fine, liquidate Team New Zealand. You go offshore, you come back as a challenger, and meanwhile, we'll set up another defence organisation. It's not complicated and not hard to know what the right thing to do was.
Grant Dalton was adamant and remains adamant there was insufficient money in New Zealand to mount a successful defence. Don't you want to win, Sir Michael?
He's not right. There was money offered to him. There was money offered to the club. It was a Dalton-driven decision. I don't know deep down what his reason was. He probably wanted more control, maybe more money. I don't know. But for all of that, the club did not have the power to take this offshore for a defence by New Zealand.
Your letter is addressed to the Commodore of the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron, Aaron Young. Have you had a conversation with him?
No, I haven't, but I think Andrew Johns might have at earlier times when he quotes a letter he wrote to them but didn't get a response. This is what we said in our resignation letter. So it's a while ago now, so memories won't be as precise as they might have been, but what we've written down is very factual about the history of the club, very factual about the question of defence and venue, and even quotes a Commodore back in 2000 when Peter Blake was getting set up to defend, that the defence has to be in the waters of the defending yacht club.
Has the Commodore responded to your resignation?
No, not yet. We sent it to them a day or two ago. We decided to make it an open letter because we wanted, if anybody wanted to talk about it, it's not ancient history yet. There's still strong feelings amongst people with a history in the Cup. We wanted to be free to comment about why we had resigned.
So, Michael, did you send that via email?
No, we wrote the letter to him personally and it was delivered as I understand it.
Right, and you're sure he's received it?
Oh, he must have received it by now. I think that was Wednesday, 2 days ago.
What does it say about how you feel about this club?
It's not a decision you take lightly, but the principle is that the club have done a poor job. They've had no right to do what they did and let it go overseas. So all we can really do is show our strong disagreement and resign. There's not much more we can do at this stage, unfortunately.
Have you talked to Grant Dalton about all of this?
No.
Would you, if you had the chance?
I don't think Dalton's going to listen to anybody. I think he'd set his mind before the regatta, before the win. And remember, Dalton had won 2 America's Cup, but he'd also lost 2, so he'd been through the mill and knows exactly how hard it is to do it. and what has to be done for another defence, etc. So he's got plenty of experience, but the bottom line here is he sailed for New Zealand. Team New Zealand was what it was called, and in some interview I saw, I beg your pardon, a quote, or some mention in a paper just before he was going offshore. There was a statement in there that Team New Zealand didn't owe anybody anything. Now, that's not correct. The traditions of Team New Zealand and the 40 years to get to where we've been mean that lots of people in New Zealand, lots of sponsors, lots of supporters, the obligations were there in terms of those people over that 40-odd years. And it was all sort of ignored, ripped up, and we're going. Well, if I'd been in charge, I would have said to him, go. And I would have, if he'd said, well, look, I'll liquidate the team, fine, liquidate it and go, and come back as a challenger, if you'd like to. Meanwhile, we'll set up another defence organisation. They would say, oh, well, you can't do that. Well, you know, I've done that quite a few times, a long time ago. It's not that hard. Not ideal, but it's not that hard.
So the squadron is the guardian of the Cup, in essence, while we hold it. And given your feelings about the decisions made, do you think Commodore Aaron Young should remain in his position?
Well, that's a vote for all of the members. You know, we've put our position on the table. I don't know what other members will do or say or feel. If I was the only sole member of the club and I had the power, yes, I would ask him to resign for a job poorly done.
Here's the thing, Sir Michael. The Cup is going to Barcelona. In 2 years' time, that is where the event will be held. It is unlikely that your resignation is going to change any of that. What is the best you can hope for?
I think, look, there's a lot of water to go under the bridge, literally, or under the boats. You might hope the best that New Zealand could expect is that Dalton might win and would come back here in a defence. That's the best that can happen. But he might have already committed to another defence somewhere else. So, you know, it's a faint hope that that's what's going to happen. It's more likely that we won't see the Cup here again.
Do you like Grant Dalton, Sir Michael?
Well, he was in Fremantle and he sailed with me and worked for me as a member of the team back in 1984-85. So, yes, I do, and I did, and I respected what he's done. I cannot agree with what he has, this action that he has taken. I disagree strongly.
Sir Michael Fay there, and Checkpoint approached the yacht squadron for comment. In a statement, Commodore Aaron Young says they're naturally disappointed with any resignation. The statement goes on to say the squadron would like to acknowledge and thank Sir Michael Fay and associates for their previous support of past America's Cup campaigns. Let us know your thoughts on this one. Text us on 2101 or tweet us at Checkpoint RNZ. The weather in Nelson.
Well,
Wow.
well, what do you think of that, Julia?
I'm reading that Aaron can't resign as his time is up. The new Commodore will start with AGM, which is coming up.
Yeah, the AGM is this coming week,
Yeah.
I believe.
So I'm interested in what's happening at the AGM.
Well, I talked to Hamish Ross this morning. It was early in the morning, his time, and he was just waking up, and I didn't want to. He was very circumspect and cautious, and he knew this had happened. Obviously, everybody knew it had happened, and he's not sure what else will happen if other members besides these three, who collectively they have a lot of time and energy, years and years and years. They said 150 years. I'm not quite sure how that is between the three of them, but certainly they've got 40, 80, 120 years, and maybe more that I'm not counting. Luca Craig, who is down in Auckland, is saying going to celebrate World Photography Day by taking a photo of the sun here in Auckland, as haven't seen it for a week. And Luca, apropos that, I have the Hauraki Gulf weather.com live cam shot as the sun, what time is it down there? It's 8:56 in the morning in Auckland, nearly 9 a.m. And you got some marine layer out there, but that's looking what direction is that? That camera's in, I think, the southwest corner of the Hauraki Gulf, and a beautiful shot. And you've got some sun there in Auckland. on World Photography Day. I guess it's the day after World Photography Day for you all because it's Saturday the 20th down there. Back on these comments, yeah, Will Simpson saying AGM at the Squadron this week, let the games continue just when we thought it was all over. Alan Long saying, I can't say as I blame him. And they're talking about marks and rocks in Copenhagen. Julie Ahrens, who disagrees strongly, says if Michael Fay and company wanted it in New Zealand, he could have put his money where his mouth is. He didn't put up a nickel. Julia, you were looking at that comment earlier.
Yeah.
Do you have a reaction to that?
Well, he didn't, but perhaps. But he's done a lot.
I don't think that's true. I think the Kiwi Home Defense and Michael Fay were.
Oh, we're close, right?
They were together, and they were going to raise money. They did raise some money. How much I don't know. And the government, of course, was putting in She said 100 million Kiwi. I don't know if that's true or not, but.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Stingray says perhaps the next RNZ Commodore will insist on their next defense being held in Auckland.
Well,
they could easily do it in TP-52s or anything else.
Yeah, well, I doubt that. Here's the problem. I assume the next Commodore is going to be the Vice Commodore, and he's been part of this whole cabal at the Squadron who backed Mr. Dalton all along. Let's go to some other comments. Ed Worley, who owns the assets of TNZ? Well, it's a trust. Who controls the trust? Obviously, Mr. Dalton does, and others on that trust board, trustees, are friends of his. Murray Lamont, haven't seen Michael Fay at the Squadron in the last 10 years, so they are out of touch with reality of the situation and options. I don't think they attend AGMs or any of the previous ETNZ, RNZ, YS meetings held at the club to explain the options where Dalton and the Commodore spoke. Members also had a chance to speak their point then. Have utmost respect, by the way, for Sir Michael. Last I saw him in person was in Valencia, 2007, watching the Cup. Yeah, Murray, it's a good point because it does seem, Julia, like it's a little, he is, and she said so as well. You know, this thing's in Barcelona, it's gone, and there's teams, and there's money being spent, and there's contracts have been let. But he also makes the point, and any of you who've ever been involved in the Cup, such as Hamish Ross, who is on here, will know when you do a venue deal, that venue, for Barcelona to have agreed to do this, I guarantee you they have the first right of refusal, first option, first right of negotiation for the next Cup if TNZ wins. I don't think TNZ will win. I think it's the end of TNZ, and sadly, I think Sir Michael's right. Not only is Grant Dalton's not going to win and bring it back. If he does win, it's going to stay there, or it'll go to, God forbid, to Saudi Arabia or some other high-spendy place like Live Golf. Yeah. The league that's trying to take over the PGA and is with some great success because they're spending huge amounts of money. Yes. You know what Live stands for, L-I-V, golf? I had to look it up.
I forgot. I saw it once.
But you know the Roman numeral L-I-V.
Yeah.
54. L-I-V. And that's because they're only playing 54 holes instead of the 72 holes. It's a shorter tournament. They're getting paid a lot more money. Live Golf. That's another Tom's tangential.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Live Golf. So what else? So I hear you, Murray Lamont. Why didn't he speak up before? Gordon Smith, heresy counts for nothing, or hearsay. He's saying counts for nothing in any decent argument or presentation. Murray chiming in again, Murray Lamont. Listening to that interview, Michael Fay said the Squadron could set its own defense up, and what a sight that would be defending the Cup in one of the MRX fleet. Well, the boat's not big enough, but I guarantee you that the Squadron could have set up a defense and a proper defense if they just said, sorry, it's going to be here. And if they had, Mr. Dalton would have said, okay, it's going to, because he wants the payday, he wants to run the defense, and it would have been there. And instead, they let him go. And I agree that the club has made a huge mistake here, huge error, and maybe it will never be back there. That may be the case. Yeah. And it's the same thing for Golden Gate. I resigned as Vice Commodore of Golden Gate Yacht Club, as you know, Julia.
Yeah, right.
When the Commodore and the board let Russell and Larry take it to Bermuda, it was a huge mistake.
It was.
Will Simpson, Aaron can't resign as, okay, you read that one, Julia, thank you, because his time is up. Yes, the new Commodore will start at the AGM. Will Simpson win as the AGM? Julie Aarons, you weren't in charge. If it's not hard, why didn't Michael do it? Well, because Michael's, he's getting on. He's had some health issues. Stingray, perhaps the next RNZ Commodore will insist on their next defense being held in Auckland. Not if he's got a contract with Barcelona.
Mm-hmm.
They could easily do it. Okay. Very, very, very interesting. Joe Holtzman saying, she has some very pretty okay, they're talking about dog breeding now here on the comment. What say you, Hamish? And I don't know if Hamish is going to comment. Murray Lamont, yeah, he's a bit out of touch. There's no question. And you have to, it's a fair, I think, comment. Why didn't he speak up sooner? Oh, Julie Aarons is texting to other people about puppies. Ooh, live cam, Gordon Smith says. Yeah, well, there, look at it, swung around now. That camera does swing around, and I guess in the evening it swings around and gets the Auckland cityscape.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we're Gordon Smith. We've been taking live cams, and we had the Melbourne live cam when we had Alistair Murray on a week or so ago. And we're trying to get live cams from venues of note, of interest, relative to our topics in the show. Ed Worley saying, so TNZ forces everyone to adopt a class of boats that is really expensive in the AC. Then they complain about how expensive a defense will be. Good point, Ed. Ed, who was involved in the same cup that Michael Fay's first involvement. Ed was with Newport Harbor's Eagle Challenge for the 87 Cup. From the first deed of the Cup, Bill Wingrove, the match shall be sailed over the usual course for the annual regatta of the Yacht Club in possession of the Cup. Okay, Bill Wingrove, true. That's if there's not mutual consent to a different course or to a different venue. And you can mutually, I submit, as has been done here, that the defender, meaning the club,
Mm-hmm.
and the challenger of record can mutually consent to a venue anywhere in the world that is free of headlands. Open ocean water courses free of headlands. So how about San Francisco Bay? Is that free? No, that's not outside the headlands, but it was mutually consented to by the defender and the challenger of record to do it in San Francisco Bay, which is a perfectly good place because, Julia, it is
Very
iconic,
iconically beautiful and reliably windy.
Exactly. So I just think it's a shame, Bill Wingrove, and I agree with Sir Michael Fay. Bravo Zulu to him, as you all know. Facebook user, is that J. Frederick Bland? Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron could run the regatta in Auckland in one design boats and save yeah, okay. It's always been a design competition, so I don't think it's ever going to be in one design boats, nor should it be. But
yeah,
you could certainly do it in boats that are a hell of a lot less expensive. And the Kiwis would probably still win because they're a great, if not the greatest, sailing nation. Replying to Julie Aarons, no kidding, Julie. I thought it was Pets Illustrated there for a moment. Okay, Julie, a lot of comments here. Stingray's talking about courses and venue. Fritz Muller's going to Switzerland. Yeah, it's a good point. I still rate the Swiss. I still rate Alinghi and the Swiss as the number one challenger, certainly. It may well be the number one team. Jody Shields checking in. Jody from, I assume you're in Wanji, but maybe you're up on the Gold Coast. Maybe you're up toward Hamilton Island now in Australia. I wonder if Ben will put a rock solid America's Cup Challenge together. Did you see that Sir James Ratcliffe is in the hunt apparently to buy Man U, buy Manchester United, the soccer team?
Oh, I didn't.
The football team. Yeah, I saw that in the headlines this morning. Andrew Pindar. He must be in Scarborough. With all this going on, Scarborough is definitely looking the hot favorite for AC 38 venue.
Yeah.
Okay, they're making jokes about rocks. You're correct on the new Commodore Andrew Aitken steps up. Okay, Will Simpson, thank you for that. Thursday evening, Will is telling us. This coming Thursday evening is the AGM at the RNZ. Christiane Price, what a cluster fluck. Oh, fluck? Frig. Fudge. What a cluster fudge the Kiwis have created. Hello, Christiane. Say hi to your family of the Prices, Pricey and your Harry and Olivia for us. Barcelona is free of wind. I mean, that's the other problem. You look at all these pictures. This is now end of August or mid to end of August. They're going to race it in September, October. And I guarantee you, having lived just down from Barcelona in Valencia for 8 years, this time of year, there's not a lot of breeze.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, lots of comments. Jody's on his way home from Airlie Beach, driving through loads of sugar cane. visions of rum dancing in his head, maybe. The Glazers, Bill Wingrove says, are not going to sell Man U. Big story around Tampa Bay on the radio shows. They also own the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the football team, the American football team. The rum line to... Okay, that looks very clever. Yeah, Alan Long, I saw that Elon was texting about... I think that was just a joke there. Okay, I'm not going to... The lady carries on, but I thought she did a terrific job,
She
Julia,
did.
of the She put his feet to the fire.
Yep.
Was factually very... very aware.
And very clear about what you was asking.
Exactly. Now we've got what looks like a yacht club flagpole or somebody's private flagpole out in front of maybe something akin to the Beach Street Yacht Club. What's over there on the other side? Which direction is the camera pointing now? Great camera in the Hauraki Gulf.
Looks like it's north.
It's starting to look easterly now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we'll carry on here. One more note on this story, and that is that when I went on to Facebook to see the RNZ posting on the Royal New Zealand I think this is on the Royal New Zealand Facebook page itself, and this was their quote that they grabbed out of the story right from day one. The whole reason he set up the team and chased the cup. This is Royal New Zealand's editorial. I don't know if it's an editorial, but it's their. It is verbiage. It's prose from them. Right from day one, the whole reason he, Michael Fay, set up the team and chased the cup for all those years, it was all about New Zealand and what the cup could do for New Zealand on so many levels. He is very conscious of how the New Zealand public get behind the America's Cup and how much fun they have had with it apart from everything else. Now look down here at the bottom. Now, this is the New Zealand Herald headline, and you can click on that if you're on Facebook. But look at this. There were fully 600, this is a couple hours ago by now, 633 thumbs up. Our FOSI Mark Wharton Reed, Leo Leonard Takahashi, and there's 100. The comments are very interesting. I'll tell you what, there's a lot of angst. There's some supporters as well, as you would expect and hope. But there's a lot of angst. And this AGM on Thursday night, thank you for that, Will. And the others, I think that's going to be an interesting occasion down there.
We want a full hand report.
Exactly. 633 thumbs ups in a matter of hours since that appeared last night. Okay, this day in history is our next segment. If we talk about what happened on the 19th of August, and speaking of that same year, a deed of gift, the America's Cup, 1849, Julia. What happened on the 19th of August?
Gold was discovered in California.
Not quite, but you're on the right track. This is the map. And it was just outside of San Francisco. It was earlier in 1840. Did I have 49 in there? Oh, it was 40. I guess it was 49. But on this map, this is obviously San Francisco on the bay here, and you go up the Sacramento River and the couple other rivers there. And it was over here on the American River in a place called Coloma, where this James Marshall was installing a water-powered sawmill along the American River in Coloma, California, when his carpenter discovered gold flakes in the stream bed in north central California at Sutter's Mill, which is the famous venue, on January 24th, 1848. Despite trying to keep the discovery a secret, the news spread in all directions, initially to Oregon, Hawaii, Mexico, Central America, Chile, Peru, and as far as China. But even then, it was not that big a deal until it hit the papers, the paper in New York. They were already in New York, though, selling berths. And I didn't realize this, but most of you probably knew this, but most of the 49ers came by water around the tip down in South America.
They had to.
Because there was no Panama Canal until 1915. So it was a lot easier to come by ship than it was to come across. There were no railroads yet. And you had to come basically by a Calistoga wagon by horseback to get across the country. And people were lining up to get on ships to come to California quite a time before it was a state. So it was 1848 on August 19th, on this day The New York Herald reported the news along the American East Coast of the California gold rush. It was not new news to those further west, but it's, again, how different the times were.
Yeah.
As the gold rush had started in January and was publicized in San Francisco in March. However, the New York Herald was then the most profitable and popular newspaper in the U.S. By the dawn of the American Civil War, the newspaper claimed a circulation of, grand number, 84,000 copies, and called itself the most largely circulated journal in the world. In any event, the news of the gold rush spread to a much larger audience than previously, and circulated the gold fever much wider than before. By mid-June of 1848, this is before this, 3/4 of the male population of San Francisco had left for the gold fields.
Yes.
By the end of 1848, there were around 20,000 people had come to California to seek their fortune. Ultimately, 1/3 came to California from all over the world. And by 49, the number of those coming for the gold rush had grown to well over 100,000. The 49ers, of course, are the name of our football team now. And those coming by boat passed through the heads between Marin and what is really the Presidio now.
Yeah. It was called the Golden Gate at the time.
And that was called the Golden Gate because you were going through the gate. We still call it the gate,
Yeah.
not the bridge. And of course, the bridge has now taken the name, and it's the Golden Gate Bridge not because the bridge was gold, because it was spanning what was the Golden Gate. The bridge that now spans, of course, is the Golden Gate. Prospectors could make a fortune if they came early. Some 750,000 pounds or billions of dollars worth of gold was extracted from the mining area, which peaked in 1852, a year after the Cup. The gold rush essentially created California. The first federal census in 1860 counted over 300,000 residents. The population had tripled since before the gold rush. Tripled. And of course, the Mexican-American War and the treaty left California in the possession of the U.S. And the rest, as they say, is history, including the state seal, which has Eureka on it. It has tall ships on it.
Yeah.
It has San Francisco Bay on it.
California Bear.
That has the California Bear. I don't know what all else, but you know why Eureka is on there? Because
Yes.
it's the Greek word. I have found it.
Mm-hmm.
And that from the story of Archimedes, I don't know if it's apocryphal or not, but supposedly when he discovered the water level in his bath rose to the level represented by the volume of water displaced by his submerged body, he shouted,
Eureka!
Eureka. Okay. So much for our This Day in History, 1848, the California Gold Rush, which, as I said. Okay, Bravo Zulu.
Yeah, Hamish Ross says there was a land road over Panama to connect with another ship, but not very many people made that trip.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and because everybody caught the jungle fever.
Oh, going through Panama.
Yeah.
Yeah, malaria. And
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of comments here. Will Simpson saying, I'm back on the America's Cup before we go into Bravo Zulu. Regardless of the latest uproar, there should be a lot of credit due Commodore Young. He's done well to get us through COVID and run a cup cycle to boot. When we were relatively close to the world, regardless of the politics, he has done it with great poise. I would agree with that as well. Thank you, Will. Ben Cartwright. Many miners, Hamish said, I didn't know this. Many miners went on to Australia, then to New Zealand, then to Alaska, chasing gold in various rushes.
Absolutely.
Why is Britannia on the state seal? Is it?
I didn't know. I don't know where
is
it is.
Britannia? Is that a joke? Somebody making a joke?
I don't know.
Okay. Gordon Smith, are you making a joke? Britannia. I don't know what that means. Oh, is that? I don't know. I don't know, Julia. Do you know what that means?
Mm-mm.
Gordon Smith, you've got to tell us. Either we're dense, or your comment is cretonic, or both. Okay, Bravo Zulu.
Maybe it's the ship.
Maybe. Well, we've done the Bravo Zulu, and we've been talking, we did on Tuesday extensively about the round Britain. Oh, the lady with the spear, he says, is Britannia.
Ah.
The helmet and spear, Ted Ryman said. Okay, I didn't know that. United Kingdom, this is the race around the British Isles, 1,800 nautical miles, 18 1800 and change. This is hosted every 4 years by, at least these days, every 4 years by the RORC, clockwise around Britain and Ireland. And we got to talk about this lighthouse on Tuesday with various video reports, and one of our FOSI, Graham Sweeney, checking in from up there. He lives up there. Muckle Flugga, I love to say that. The Muckle Flugga Lighthouse up near the northernmost part of the British Isles. And Bravo Zulu to Team Medallia, and in their IMOCA 60, they took line honors, 18 or 20, maybe 24, 36 hours ago by now. IMOCA Medallia, skippered by Pip Hare, took line honors in the 7-star round Britain and Ireland race. And in elapsed time, this is a long race, 1,800 miles, but 10 days, 13 hours, 23 minutes and change, because it was so light in the first bit of the race. They've got some pretty good breeze now, as we'll show you in a moment. High pressure had dominated the early part of the race, causing the Medallia team to take over 7 days to get to Muckle Flugga, the halfway point, more or less the halfway point, 900 nautical miles. The second half of the course was much quicker, with Medallia taking just over 3 days to finish the race in the early hours, of Thursday. So that would have been, about 36 hours ago. Yeah. Maybe a little longer. As Medallia crossed the finish line at the southern extremity of the course there in Cowes, the tenacious teams at the back of the fleet were rounding, I get to say it again, Muckle Flugga to the very north with near gale conditions. James McHugh's Tequila is leading the Class 40s, but fickle breeze 350 miles from the finish line is making for tense decisions in the North Sea. But bravo Zulu to these guys and gals, and Pip and her crew. It is not often, she said, I go into a race wanting to take line honors, but that really was a goal, so we are very happy, commented Pippa Hare. Quote, we're gutted that Ollie Here's IMOCA had to pull out, as it would have been a great competition. Medallia is a newer generation boat, but Ollie's is more suited to light air. We concentrated on trying to extend from the other boats in the race and get around the course as quickly as possible. I'm really stoked to get the line honors in a race around Britain and Ireland. She went on to say later in this, this was a press release from the RORC, in the Vendée Globe, this is a quote, it is a big deal to race around Cape Horn, but the Shetland Islands I didn't know this, is way further north than Cape Horn is south.
I didn't know that either.
I'm very, very proud to have my name against line honors in this edition of the 7-star round Britain and Ireland race. I have full admiration for everyone out there. This is a tough race for all of us, but the first cold beer, not a rum, a cold beer when you cross the finish line makes it all worthwhile, said a jubilant Pip. So bravo Zulu on the left or right there, Nick, Bub, Pip, Ben Schwartz, Paul Larson, and Kevin George. And thank you again to the RORC for putting the crew names in there with that picture.
Yes.
And for sail-world.com.
That's a great picture, too.
It is a great picture, for running it with their crew names in it. Nice stuff. Now, here's from about 11 o'clock my time, so a couple hours ago, 3 hours ago by now. And you can see Pip here with her teams already on shore. And Marco Polo, that was back out here on the water. They must have gotten, because they were inland further with their race tracker. But here's Tequila leading in their fleet. Tequila, I guess it's Tequila. Kite, Palmby Marine, Musla 40, and so on back up here. And there's some nice videos. Remember we featured the video of Fujitsu British Soldier? And a nice website, good tracking. And that is, they're probably a little further down here, maybe past Canterbury now, but they've still got a lot. You can see here on the arrows, a lot of westerly. Strong westerly down here in the channel. So up here, there's a big hole. So these boats coming on a starboard reach with some breeze, starting to sail in the light. So they're going to have another light patch before they get down. And then they're going to have to beat through the rough and windy.
Tough race.
Okay, so bravo Zulu to Pip. I try to get her on here. A lot of you know her. Several of you know her. I don't know her. I've met her, but I wouldn't say I know her. And I hope we can get her on, because she is a great competitor. And
she is.
We'll see how she does in the Vendée Globe and the ensuing races between now and then. Speaking of ocean races, just a quickie here. I don't know if apparently I'm not challenging the assertion here. I'm about to show you that somebody posted on one of the sailing Facebook pages, not any of our FOSI that I'm aware of. But do you know, Julia, the longest straight land-to-land line you can sail on Earth? Let me put that again. The longest straight line you can sail from land to land without hitting any other land on Earth. And it supposedly is from eastern Canada.
Yeah.
Mary Jude Szymanski says she's a big fan of Pip. Yeah, let's try to get her on here. The longest straight land is from eastern Canada, and you see over there on the other side to just above Seattle, basically Vancouver.
Mm.
And here's how you would do that. Straight line around the globe from eastern Canada to western Canada, the longest straight line you can sail on Earth. Here it is. Past the Horn of Africa, around the Cape, north, south of Cape Lewin, through the Hawaiian Islands, I guess, but you don't hit any of them. Crosses each time zone only once.
Wow.
What do you think of that?
I'm impressed.
So I guess that's correct. I'm not arguing that could be cretonic, but unless any of you knows otherwise, I think what's interesting, and would it be correct? Cretonic.
What are they sailing across Canada?
Well, in a land yacht or something? I don't think so. But if you could start in eastern Canada and sail on this straight line, would this be a cool race? Why haven't anyone, should we have, one long rum line, Jonathan Frank said, a lot of sea miles, John Emmett is saying, a straight line. I wonder if there should be the straight line race. We could call it the, well, it isn't a straight line. Well, okay, it's not exactly a straight line, so maybe it's a bit cretonic. But would that be fun to do? Would that be a fun race to have? Would anybody be interested in sailing it? I don't know what the prevailing winds are at those various latitudes on that straight line. But maybe we need the Sailing Illustrated straight line, since we're all such straight shooters here.
Oh, yes, we are.
Yeah?
Yeah, of course we are.
Anybody have any comments on that?
It doesn't appeal to me at the moment, but ask me later.
It doesn't appeal to me either. It doesn't appeal to me ever. If it's a great circle, it's also the shortest distance between 2 points. Okay, here come the comments. Fritz Mueller would be tough course weather-wise, I assume. I mean, I didn't look into any of that. That line goes really far south into the iceberg zone. Yes, indeed. Goes right down to Antarctica. Straight line may not have wind and good currents. Well, that's the point. This is the straight line race. This might be the most challenging race ever, T.R. DeYoung. This might be a really difficult race. And maybe that's why it ought to be done. Do it crude. Don't do it single-handed. Don't do it crazy. Forget the latitudes, Fritz Mueller says. It's the straight line race. Well, we'll file that away and think about that some other time, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That gets us to the D block and wraps the show up an hour and 23 minutes in. I have just one funny here for Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. And this was not sent by any of the FOSI. It was sent by somebody here at St. Francis Yacht Club because they know one of the acts I've got in the members show that I'm producing. I'm a showrunner for at the Stag Cruise.
Yeah.
If you're watching Andrew McIrvin, maybe we'll ask Andrew McIrvin to do a pole dance. Now, we've got somebody else doing a pole dance. That's one of our acts. I shouldn't be talking about that show. Tent poles are not for dancing. Please find alternative ways to disappoint your father. Count me out. J. Frederick Bland says, Graham Sweeney is on here. Hello, Graham. Would much rather do the Grand Pacific Circle. Yeah, okay. Gordon Smith, I have a Canadian passport. I could do it. Well, we'll report on it. I don't think I'm going to want to run it, but it's an idea. Ha ha. Other ways to disappoint your father. And I thought, apropos, since I'm going to Michigan and I haven't seen my mom or dad, and I put that up apropos. Maybe I'm disappointing him by doing now becoming a talking head radio.
Not
television.
really challenging fearful odds at sea.
Exactly. Thanks, Don Lunabos. Murray Lamont back on. Also, Faye chose Mercury Bay over the RNZY. Yeah, but there's a reason behind that, Murray. Made no offer of any help to us in the last year, but now tries to take the higher ground. Too late. Yeah, it does seem, as I said earlier, Murray, I agree with you, it does seem a little late to the party. Mm-hmm. Right, Julia?
Yep.
Okay, that gets us to the finish line and no photos. I do, again, commend that photo sequence on the SailGP website. I wonder how SailGP is doing. I'm hearing some things. If any of the rest of you is hearing things, we'll see how it's going. I hope it's going well. Larry's putting a lot of money into the sport. I just wonder how well all that is going, big picture, long term. Julia, your witness.
Yes, please like, follow, and share. Following is very easy too.
It is indeed. And for those of you watching in replay, we do leave the comments open and we go back and read them. So please don't hesitate to put comments in, even if you're watching in replay. But again, we ask, and we don't have to because no one ever does it, or very rarely does anyone make a personal attack, resort to name calling, or say anything else cretonic. It's be a lady and or gentleman, and that's what our FOSI do with each show. Support us on Patreon, please. Patreon.com/join Sailing Illustrated. Give us a few bucks a month to help keep us on the air. That's viewer-supported media. We don't have, every now and then we have a sponsor. It's usually a FOSI who wants to give us some money in return for getting some ink here on the show, which we're glad to do. Julie, any final thoughts?
No, not really today.
Okay. Gordon Smith in Denmark, there used to be a red top newspaper featuring topless girls. It was known as Spot Your Neighbor's Daughter. Dear Young, thanks again. Yeah, thanks to all of you. We'll be at this, again, I'll be at this on Tuesday. Julia won't be because I'm going to Michigan for the week. I doubt I'm going to do a Friday show, but stay tuned. We'll see how the lay of the land and how everything's going there. But I'll do a Tuesday show, even if, as I said, even if it's holding up an iPhone and walking around at our home Portage Yacht Club there northwest of Ann Arbor, give you a little look into my home club. I'll do it, John Emmett. Maybe I won't shave all week.
I know. Huh? Please.
Maybe I won't shave all week. Come on, do it.
I'll tell your mother.
Do it. Well, she'll know. She'll know. Don't do it, John Emmett. Have a great weekend, everybody. Hope to see you on Tuesday. And in the meantime, if you are on the beach, play some music. And if you go sailing, sail fast, sail safe, and have fun. Ciao for now.